Hi everyone, so in this video I'm going to show you how to crochet this chunky chevron blanket. So for my blanket I used a 6.5mm crochet hook and worsted weight yarn. So thank you very much for watching and please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos. So to begin your blanket you want to start off by making a slip knot. So to do a slip knot, take your yarn and take your finger and wrap the yarn around your finger once and then twice. Then take the first loop and pull it over the second loop and then take the second loop and pull it all the way over your finger. You then want to take your crochet hook, so take your hook, go in through this space and pull tight. And there you have a slip knot. So now once you have your slip knot, we are now going to make our foundation chain. And now you can make your foundation chain as long or as short as you like, but your foundation chain must be a multiple of 8. So you can chain 80, 88, 160, whatever you like, as long as it is a multiple of 8. And the longer you make your foundation chain, the wider your blanket will be. So make your foundation chain a multiple of 8. So I have just finished making my foundation chain, and for the sake of this tutorial I am just going to make a little sample sized blanket. So I just chained 40, but you will probably have a much longer chain. And now we are ready to move on to round 1. So we are now on to round 1 of our blanket, and to begin this round you want to chain 1. So chain 1 on top of your foundation chain. So now to begin this round, we are going to do 2 double crochets both into the second chain from the hook. So here is the first chain from the hook and here is the second chain, and into this chain we're going to do 2 double crochets. So to do a double crochet, yarn over and go into the chain, the second chain from the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through the final 2 loops on your hook. So there we have 1 double crochet into that chain. So now yarn over and go back down into the same chain for a second time and do a second double crochet like that. So there we have 2 double crochets both into that chain, and now we're going to go into the next chain and do 1 double crochet. So yarn over, go into the next chain and do 1 double crochet into this one like that. So there we have 2 double crochets into one stitch and 1 double crochet into the next. And now we are going to work a stitch called 2 double crochets together. So when we do 2 double crochets together, we are doing 2 double crochets, 1 into each chain, but then we are not going to complete either of them, and then we're going to complete them both together at the same time. So we are effectively turning 2 stitches into 1. So we're going to start off by yarning over and going down into the next chain as you would with a normal double crochet, and then yarn over and pull up a loop as you would with a normal double crochet, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops as you would with a normal double crochet. So there we have 1 incomplete double crochet. So we're going to stop here and leave this double crochet incomplete and move on to the next one. So yarn over and go into the next chain and pull up a loop as you would with a normal double crochet, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. But stop here, you do not want to complete this double crochet either. So there we have 2 incomplete double crochets, and you should have 3 loops on your hook, and you want to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops to complete the stitch. And there we have done 2 double crochets together and turned 2 stitches into 1. And now we are going to work a second set of 2 double crochets together in the exact same way. So yarn over and go down into the next chain and do 1 incomplete double crochet. But you do not want to complete this double crochet either, so stop here right before the last step and move on to the second one. Yarn over, go into the next chain, pull up a loop and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So there we have 2 incomplete double crochets, and you should have 3 loops on your hook, and yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So there we have done 2 sets of 2 double crochets together. And now we are going to do 1 double crochet into the next chain. So yarn over and go into the next chain and do 1 double crochet into this one. And now we are going to do 2 double crochets both into the next one. So into the next chain here, go into this chain and do 2 double crochets. So there we have 1 and then 2, like that. And now for the rest of round 1, we are simply going to repeat those stitches again and again and again, all the way along, and that is going to give us our chevron pattern or our wave pattern. So we're going to do 2 double crochets into the first stitch, just like we did here, then 1 double crochet into the next, then 2 sets of 2 double crochets together, then 1 double crochet into the next stitch or the next chain, and 2 double crochets into the next one. And then we're going to repeat that again. 2 double crochets into the next chain, 1 double crochet into the next, 2 sets of 2 double crochets together, 1 double crochet into the next chain, and then 2 double crochets into the next. And keep repeating that again and again all the way along for round 1. So we're going to begin our first repetition. So you want to start off by yarning over and going into the next chain and doing 2 double crochets both into this chain, like that. Then do 1 double crochet into the next one. And now we are going to do 2 sets of 2 double crochets together, just like we did before. So we're going to work our first set. So do 1 incomplete double crochet into the next chain. Stop here and move on to the next double crochet. So yarn over, go into the next chain and work your second incomplete double crochet. So like that. So there I have 2 incomplete double crochets and 3 loops on my hook, and you want to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So there we have 1 set of 2 double crochets together, and we're going to move on to the second set. So yarn over, go into the next chain, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, then yarn over, go into the next chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So there we have 2 sets of 2 double crochets together. So now do 1 double crochet into the next chain, and then do 2 double crochets both into the next one. So there we have our next repetition, and you can see that we are starting to get our chevron or our wave pattern. So you just want to continue to repeat that again and again and again. Do 2 double crochets into the next chain, 1 double crochet into the next, 2 sets of 2 double crochets together, 1 double crochet into the next, and 2 double crochets into the next, all the way along. And when I was doing my blanket, I found it useful to say 2, 1, together, together, 1, 2, 2, 1, together, together, 1, 2, 2, 1, together, together, 1, 2, all the way along as I was working my stitches. So we had the 2 for the 2 double crochets into 1 stitch, 1 for the 1 double crochet into 1 stitch, together, together for the 2 sets of 2 double crochets together, the 1 for the 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then the 2 for the 2 double crochets into the last stitch. So it's 2, 1, together, together, 1, 2, all the way along. So I have just finished working that all the way along for round 1, and this is what I have. So you can see we are starting to get our chevron pattern. So it goes up, down, up, down. So I went all the way along and did 2 double crochets into this very last chain at the end. And now we are ready to move on to round 2. So we are now on to round 2, and to begin this round you want to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So now in round 2 we are going to use the same set of stitches as we did in round 1. We're going to do 2 double crochets into 1 stitch, 1 double crochet into the next, 2 sets of 2 double crochets together, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and 2 double crochets into the next. And we're going to repeat that all the way along for round 2. So it's very simple, it's just the same thing as we did in round 1. It's just in this round we're going to be working into stitches and not into the foundation chain. So we have chained 1 and turned, and now we're going to start off by going down into this first stitch here and working 2 double crochets both into this stitch. And we're going into this first one as the chain 1 did not count as a stitch. So yarn over and go down into the very first stitch and do 2 double crochets both into this stitch. So there's 1, and then there's 2, like that. And now you want to go into the next stitch and do 1 double crochet into this one, so just as we did last round. And now we're going to do 2 sets of 2 double crochets together. So here is 1 incomplete double crochet and a second incomplete double crochet, then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So there we have 1 set of 2 double crochets together. So now do a second set in the exact same way, like that. Then do 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and finally 2 double crochets both into the next one. So there we have done 2, 1, together, together, 1, 2. And we're going to continue to repeat this all the way along for round 2, just like we did in round 1. Do 2 double crochets, both into the next stitch. Then do 1 into the next. Do 2 sets of 2 double crochets together. There's 1 set. And a second set. Then do 1 double crochet into the next stitch. And finish off by doing 2 double crochets, both into the next one. So there's our next repetition, and just continue to repeat that all the way along for round 2. So I am just coming to the end of round 2, so I have repeated those stitches all the way along, and this is what you should have. And now I have 1 stitch at the very end left to work into. So I have done 2, 1, together, together, 1, and then I have my last set of 2 double crochets to work at the very end. So I'm going to go into this very last stitch, and when you work at the very end, you need to make sure that you are going into the first double crochet of round 1 and not the chain 1. The chain 1 that we skipped when we worked into the second chain from the hook did not count as a stitch, so don't go into that little chain. Go into the first double crochet here and do your first double crochet of the 2. And now whilst working the very last double crochet of the round, so this is the second one of the set of 2, I am going to change colours, and that way I will have my new colour ready to work round 3 in. So for my blanket, I want to have different coloured stripes. So I'm going to have stripes of 2 rounds. So rounds 1 and 2 are in the same colour. Then I'm going to do round 3 and 4 in the same colour. Then round 5 and 6 in the same, and so on. So I'm going to change colours every other round. And I'm going to change colours right at the very end of the round whilst working the last double crochet. So yarn over and go into the chain and start to work your last double crochet. But then you want to stop right at the last step here. So usually we would yarn over and pull through these 2 loops to complete the stitch. But you want to drop the yarn that you were using and take your new colour. And if you don't want to change colours, then just finish working your double crochet as usual and then move on to round 3. But if you do want to change colours, drop the yarn that you were using, take your new yarn or your new colour, place it over the end of your hook and pull it through. And then you can fasten off, so cut the yarn that you were using, making sure that you leave a tail to weave in or work over later. And now we are ready to move on to round 3 using our new colour. So we are now on to round 3, and the rest of our blanket is very simple. We are just going to repeat round 2, so the round that we just did, again and again and again. So you could do as many repeats as you like. You can do 20 repeats, or you could do 50, 60, 70, 100 repeats. It's completely up to you, depending on how big you want your blanket to be. So you just want to keep repeating round 2 until you feel that your blanket is long enough. So to begin each round, you want to chain one and turn, and then we're just going to repeat our sets of stitches again and again and again. So we're going to do 2 double crochets into the first stitch, 1 double crochet into the next, 2 sets of 2 double crochets together, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and 2 double crochets both into the next. And just keep repeating those stitches again and again all the way along. And then when you get to the end of the round, chain one and turn, and do the same thing again. Work your stitches all the way back. So we're just doing the same thing as we did for round 2, again and again and again. And like I just explained, for this blanket here, I did stripes of 2 rounds. So if you want this effect, then you want to change colours every other round. So you will not change colours in round 3, but then you will change colours at the end of round 4 whilst working the very last double crochet. Then you won't change colours in round 5, but then you will change colours at the end of round 6 whilst working the very last double crochet of the round. So if you want stripes like this, change colours every other round. So we're just going to begin our first repetition of round 2. So this is round 3, and it's just the exact same thing as we did for round 2. Start off with a chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 never counts as a stitch. And now we're going to do 2 double crochets both into the first stitch. So you always want to make sure that you're going into this first stitch here, as the chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Then do 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Then do 2 sets of 2 double crochets together. So there's 1 set. And a second set. Then do 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 double crochets both into the next one. So we have 2, 1, together, 1, 2, and we're going to repeat that all the way along, and then repeat that round again and again and again. So now once you have finished repeating those rounds, this is what you should have. So like I said, you can make your blanket to whatever length you like. And for this one here, I just did a little sample blanket. So it's just a little square, but yours will probably be much wider and much longer. So then once you have finished doing the length of your blanket, fasten off. So pull your yarn out and your hook and cut your yarn. And you then want to weave all of your ends into the back of your blanket. So if you turn your blanket over, you want to weave all of your ends into the back, nice and securely. And whilst you were working your blanket and you were changing colours, you may want to work over your ends to save you weaving them in at the end. So after you change colours and cut your yarn, you can then work over those ends in the next round, say up until around about here or here, and then just cut them off, and you know that they are nice and secure within your blanket and you do not have to weave them in. So if you are changing colours, you may want to do that to save you some time. And then once your ends are all weaved in, you can then go ahead and work your border. And now you can do whatever border you like for your blanket, but for my border I just did a simple single crochet border, and that is what this looks like. and I thought that this border would be nice as it was a smaller stitch in comparison to the bigger chevrons, and it was simple. So it was simple to do and it looks nice and simple and doesn't take away from the actual blanket. So now if you do want to do a single crochet border, I would recommend going down a size or two in crochet hook. So for my blanket, I used a 6.5mm crochet hook. So for my border, I went down to a 4mm crochet hook. And what you want to do is you want to start off by attaching your yarn into any stitch around. So I just attached my yarn into one of the stitches of the foundation chain. So say for this blanket here, this little mini one, I would just go into one of the stitches along the foundation chain. So say this one, insert your hook into the stitch, take your new yarn that you want to do your border in, place it over the end of your hook, pull it through, and then chain one. So that is how you attach your new yarn to your work. And now you just want to go down into the same chain. So this is the chain that you attached your yarn into, and work one single crochet. Then do one single crochet into the next chain, and one into the next. And to do a single crochet, you insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. And you want to do that all the way along until you reach your very first corner. So until you reach the first corner here, and then into the corner stitch, do 3 single crochets all into that stitch. So you would do 1 single crochet into each stitch along to the very corner, and then into the corner stitch do 3 single crochets. And then you want to work single crochets up evenly along the side of your blanket, and here you will be working into the side of the stitches. So just work single crochets evenly up the side, so say 1 or 2 into each stitch or into the side of each stitch. Then when you get to the very top and you get to the next corner, do 3 single crochets into this corner stitch at the very top. Then do 1 single crochet into each stitch around until you get to the next corner. Do 3 single crochets into this corner stitch. Then do 1 single crochet into each stitch at the side. So work single crochets evenly at the side of the stitches. Do 3 single crochets into this corner stitch. Then work single crochets evenly along to where you started, and work a slip stitch into the first single crochet, and then you have completed round 1 of the border, and you can fasten off. And then for this border, I just repeated that round 2 more times, so I have 3 rounds in total for my border, but you could just do 2 rounds or 3 or 4 or 5 depending on how thick you want your border to be. So for each round of the border you do the same thing, single crochets evenly around, 1 into each stitch, but then with 3 single crochets into the corner stitch, and there should be 4 corners of your blanket. So repeat that all the way around for the border. And then once you have done that, weave your ends in. So weave the ends of the border into the back of your blanket, and we have finished. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it easy to follow. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos. And in the description box below this video, I will leave a link to my Twitter account, so if you would like to go and follow me on there, I always like to post updates of upcoming tutorials, and I would love to see photos of your crochet work on Twitter as well. And I will also leave a link to where you can find some of my written patterns if you are interested in the description box below this video as well. And thank you again for watching. Bye!